Okay, folks, we have got a lot to cover today. Either I'm going to make one whole big video or I'm going to find a place to separate these. I don't know. Maybe it'll all flow out and take under 25 minutes. Time will tell. But I tell you what, let me just tell you. Um, what's been going on in the past couple of weeks, I'll give that timeline, that span of time. Um, can sort of be written off as just a phase in a series of mini phases and waves of a year or a passage of time or a particular spiritual moment that you're having, or it is a final push by all spiritual entities involved. Even though I'm sort of on the low end of, I can sense things are different or changing, or um, I can perceive things, but I don't have these huge um, signs or things that happen to me unless I'm just writing them off and they are, what everybody else is experiencing. But I have sensed in the last couple of weeks um, an opposition, sort of an aggressive challenge, either mentally or spiritually, not so much physically, at least not for me. Um, Fatigue mixed with um, just an extra, these challenges coming out of nowhere, and just a strange sense of something weird going on. And I just kind of been trying to push through it, and like most people, and chalking it up to the devil because it's like he knows his time is short, and it just feels different than the other times that you say that. Um, it feels rushed. It feels aggressive, kind of desperate, kind of like, well, will you fall for that right now? Um, it doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason to it. And I think God is allowing it because, in my case, particularly because I'm watching, I think that I have a certain type of, there's just things that you're going to come against. And it's so important. I mean, this is why God tells us to prepare, because I've really gone through this entire process of multiple rapture dates, and at each time a rapture date comes and goes, it is left me with a certain level of information just about myself and about uh, how how I'm going to be ready on the said day. And um, it's really challenged me because it's a bit like, you're examining yourself so much. And it really got to the point where I was just like examining myself to the point where like I couldn't see anything. It was like I was seeing through everything. And I really like almost drove myself crazy a little bit because I was just like, am I really, I'm listening to other videos, which is another thing that I tend to do that probably trips me up a lot because I'm listening to other people's revelation rather than getting my own from God. And I think I do that a little bit because it's easier to do that. Like I can just click on your video and see what God told you, rather than trying to sit and not so much wait on God, but just sort of believe that He's going to send me something particular, specific, because I like specifically like sat down. Like if I'm in the middle of thinking of something and He drops something in my spirit, that's one thing. But for me to like go and intentionally be in a posture and try to get something from him. Like it kind of gives me anxiety to do that, or not anxiety, but like I'm really seeing the depth of my, I don't know, is it fear? Is it mistrust? Is it um, lack of faith? It's like, do I actually really believe? Am I really actually doing the thing? Like, and just really feeling crazy. And it finally sort of culminated in me realizing, like, okay, well, if your confidence in your own ability to do this is shot, then the only thing that you can have confidence in is the goodness of God to get you through. And there's a particular scripture that I heard that was something like, I think it's in Psalms, I don't remember it, just I was listening to the audio, and it was something like, God loves those who fear him, or he delights in those who fear him and who hope in his steadfast love. And it was like, okay. Well, I gotta just hope in his steadfast love. And I've got to, instead of just trying to hack the Bible and find my confidence, my assurance there, even though part of me was like, when I was going through this, and I was just like, I don't even know if I'm doing the right things. Like, I keep second guessing myself, or I keep coming up with an alternate, and in case this one isn't real, then maybe this one is real. And I've got these like multiple universes as fail safes for in case that one is too pie in the sky, and then I've got this other one. But then, like, do I listen to this? And so I was just like literally driving myself crazy. And then God was like, because I was like, I can't even trust that I am listening to the Spirit of God, or am I listening to me make up a thing? Like, it was getting crazy. And God was like, okay, well, you have the Bible. What's the Bible? And it was like, okay, the Bible is the lamp to my feet and the light to my path. It's like, okay, so the Bible is there. It is tangible. It is not your mind. It's not your whatever. Like, um, we'll worry about relying on your own interpretation or whatever. But the point is, you're not hallucinating the system. There is a Bible, and that is your lamp. And it was like, okay. And it's just really funny how God really, he doesn't try to talk you out of your weird thing. He tries to like work with you. It's like literally being in a rehab facility with patients, and it's like, I can't get past the cheese wheel. The cheese wheel, don't you see it? And he's got to be like, okay, can we eat the cheese wheel? Can we eat it on the way? Like, eat it through the path? And you have to go, yeah, I think we can. And he goes, okay, just take one bite, like, and just go through your delusion with you, because you're just whatever. And so, um, so yeah, but that this whole thing is a process that I don't know if he just showed up on the day, would I just be ready, or would I just like jump to readiness? Maybe. But I'm just like, man, look at all the preparation that I'm having to do. Like, what about these people who haven't even, you know, thought about this being a possibility? Like, how are they going to be able to go from here to there? And the understanding that they just need to have confidence in who God is, that he is good. Like, if you're worried about being taken up because you're like, well, I don't know if I'm doing all the stuff, it's like, okay, well, you're going to have to put your confidence in the finished work of Christ and him being good. And because my whole thing is like, I think it's just based on my experience with other humans. And so I'm just like, yeah, I know God is good, but that doesn't necessarily mean like he's going to do this and that for me. Like, maybe I'm thinking of that in a way that's not right. And so I can't expect whatever. And so I'm really just having to trust, like, listen, all that gobbledygook, that you would feel like it would be wrong for you to not go. Like, do you think God is like some weird maniac? Like, And so I literally, like, to the point where I had to go back and listen to my own videos and stuff and be like, okay, right, yeah, yes, yes. So I say all that to say that um, for a couple of days, 7 days to be exact, um, there has been a revelation of the date. And in light of that information, I have definitely been um, thinking about just not thinking about. It's just I'm sitting in it and I'm going. I think they're right. I think people are hearing properly. I think it is going to be this day. Um, because this is so different. This is so different from the other times. And yeah, I could come and go, blah blah blah. But and it's very much like being in labor too, especially in the way that we should approach it as believers. Unbelievers, they can be whacked out all they want, but it's like you have the spirit, bro. So like, did I even pick up my Bible? I went all the way around my desk and didn't do it. Um, but when you're about to have a baby and you start getting those contractions, and they call it the Braxton Hicks are the ones that are like they're contractions, but it's like fake labor. So it's perfectly acceptable as a mom, and 9 months along, 8 months along, whatever, to go to the hospital in the event she thinks she's in labor. And then when she's not in labor, they send her home. They don't ridicule her for because no one knows the day or the hour of the baby coming. Like, and so she shouldn't presume to know, like, before. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you, like, people who are saying that just don't even have an idea that they are far along in any type of process. And you got to pray for those people. But yeah, when we were going through a Rapture watch 7 years ago, which I keep using that timeline because it really did come and go. It's not like it was a year ago or 3 years ago or 4 years ago. Like it was 7 years ago and then it just kind of lifted and did not come back until this year. And that period of time was very much you were looking for things, you were looking at signs, you were looking at the state of the world, yes, but by and large, you were just kind of like waiting for your date to come and go. And this one is, while all that is also happening, the knowledge increase that's happening is so like intense. The knowledge is just being laid out, and it's very much the same as, like, if you knew that there was a tornado, a huge tornado that was going to decimate, or today was the last day of business for whatever. It's like, or a riot's going on. Like the things that used to be sort of locked up in a store and you had to be, or locked behind the glass and you had to have a certain level of maturity or a certain level of anointing or a certain relationship with God to get. It's all just, you can just reach in and grab it. Or he'll just put it in your face. Like, you want this? Because everything's gonna go. Like, it really feels like that. It's God revealing it because it's time. Like a lot of people have been talking about, every piece, every part of the Bible where it says, seal up the this and seal up the that until the end. It's like, okay, well, guess what? It's the end, and it's all unsealed. It's all unsealed, and it's like you thought you were just going to go through your entire life with that, it always saying that and always meaning that. And seal the things in Daniel's like seal it up till this is for the distant future and seal it up till the time. It's like, okay, well, that's now. Like, It's like, what? We know more than Daniel now? That shouldn't be right. But it's like, well, but you're here at the end. So that's what it is. And so, for example, the last couple of days, I have heard a couple of people talk about the seals in Revelation. And there's seals, there is like bowls. Like there's the seven seals that get opened, there's the seven bowls that get poured out, and there's the seven trumpets, right? And I don't even know how this got revealed. No one has said like that the Lord just came out and told them or how they figured it out. But some people are figuring out like if you read this thing backwards, it's making sense. And not just reading the Bible backwards, but it's just like it's like the bowls or the seals and the trumpets are one direction and the bowls are in an opposite direction. I don't even like I don't know how they revealed it, but if you tried it, it'll blow your mind. And it's sitting right there. And I was watching something about it this morning. And when I first heard it, I was like, what? But it was so strange, and I heard it multiple times that it was like, maybe that's it. But it just was like, I was like trying to talk to the Lord about it because I was like, I know that these people are onto something, but I also like, I know that I need to ask you about it. Like, I would feel it's a little bit too lazy to just go off of what people are saying on this one. Like, because I see it, but I don't. It's like, I need to see it in the way that you would show me. I'm like, why would it be backwards? Like, why would you put it in backwards? And so I was kind of like curious about that, asking him about that, and expecting an answer, like, because at this point it's just like crazy. So I'm still kind of working on that, like, because I like to have like the mind blowing nugget that's like, yes, like that's my threshold. I don't really take anything less than that. So I'm still waiting on that, but he was sort of saying to me, like, because I was like, because they were talking about how Hebrew is in the opposite direction, like they read left to right or whatever it is, whatever the opposite direction is. And I'm just like, well, yeah, but I mean, it's English and like that, the direction that you read it, like, but I was very fascinated by the idea that, you go this way, you've got seven, which is this, very um, symbolic number in the Bible. And, you go either way, you go towards the middle, and the middle is the same, which is the fourth seal, the fourth trumpet, and the fourth vial. Are in both directions. It is the middle, and so it's like this is getting really kind of, it's feeling like the type of pattern and the type of deep, intricate stuff that God does. Bible codes and all of those stuff, and the concordance numbers and all of those and all that stuff. So I was just really thinking about that, and um, then for some reason I just started thinking about like, I was like, so what? Like maybe I was like, maybe he did mean to put it in backwards, but they were put in backwards by someone else. Like maybe someone like tried to like, I don't know, mix it all up or do it wrong. I don't know. And God was like, first, like, it was just like a thought in my mind, like my brain trying to make something cohesive that made sense to me in my brain. And God was like, well, if they did that, it would be because I ordained them to do that. And I was like, like that, because I was suddenly like seeing that properly. It was like this. It just was like, yeah, because This part is the story. So if God wanted you to like, if you, it just made me realize like people are always going, oh, the Bible's written by man and the Bible can correct, like man can corrupt it. I was like, yo, yeah, you're right. Like they would just corrupt it because God would want them to. They would corrupt it. But it's like they would put it in the order God would want them to. It's like God is writing the story. So the story exists, which is you and me. It would be like if God was like narrating the whole thing, and He's like, but men in their cleverness wanted to disrupt the things of God, so they made the order backwards. It's like, well, He wanted you to do that. I was like, you can't. Oh my gosh, you can't get away from it. Like you can't do it. Even if you tried to do, even if someone tried to go in and obfuscate and do these things to the Bible, it would be because God wanted you to do that. You can't escape His. And then I started thinking about like the way that we puzzle over Pharaoh all the time. Um, because it's like God knows you and God knows what you're going to do, so He's going to use you to do what you were going to do. So yes, we can all see men uh, corrupting the Bible, trying to corrupt the Bible because people follow it and do all this stuff to it. And I can see the men who succeed being used as part of the greater plan of God. So I don't know who would have done it. There's plenty of people. It would be very hard to do. So if you were to do it, it would be because God wanted you to do it. Because there's so many copies already. By the time you get any type of idea to do that, if you manage to succeed to change the order of stuff, it's because God wanted you to do it. And Pharaoh is like, his heart was hard. And it says in the thing, like, God hardened his heart. And you go, well, God, why would you harden his heart? Like, why would you make him do that stuff? He didn't make him do that stuff. It's just that he didn't let him go. Like, you got to think about it, like, writing it in, closer to the moment that it happened. Like, Moses goes, let my people go. God sent him and it's all God ordained. Like that should have just been, he should have just did what he said. It was like, this is God's servant. And God orchestrated this whole thing. So it should work, right? And the Pharaoh's like, no. And it's like, I don't really know what to do after that. Like, God just told me to come and do this part of it. He didn't really say what to do after that. And then God says, put your staff in the water. You know what I'm saying? Like God, if the plan didn't go smoothly, it's because God made it not go smoothly. The person made it not go smoothly, but turns out God wanted him to do that. Does that make sense? Like it's like that meme where it's like somebody figuring I can't even do the meme right, but it's like somebody like it was this something all along or whatever. It's like an astronaut or whatever, and then behind him is another astronaut with a gun to his head. Like I don't know, whatever. It's really hard to explain, but it's like that's God. God is the other one behind you with the gun. It's like he already. That's the Bible's way of saying like he knew that already. He wanted that. He used the hard-hearted Pharaoh who thought he was the biggest dude in town so that he could do that whole thing. Like you think like, oh, like God told me to quit my job, and so you're going to quit your job, and the person and like whatever you think goes awry, and you have to sort of like compensate for that, or you have to like improvise or whatever. It's like no, none of that's improvised. That's what it is. And so that was just like given to me. It wasn't even really on like what I was thinking about, but like I have pondered that for a long time. Like people are going to be really confused by that whole idea of like God making his heart hard so that he ends up doing all this stuff. Like how do we explain that? And hold on. All right, sorry about that. So I don't really remember what I was saying, but I'm going to cut this off for now because it's getting a little bit long and I'm only on point number 3, I think. Yeah. So I'm going to cut this off and I'm going to start another video. And yeah, see you in a minute.